Hey everyone. Hi. So, I am going to talk today about the secret to understanding children's behavior. And it's actually, it's very complex, but it can be simplified. And this has been something I've been working on and studying for a good, it's 8 years now as a parenting consultant. And I love this work because most people don't understand it, don't understand when they're watching children misbehave. Hi, Carrie. What's going on? And I'm going to take this from younger kids all the way up to teens. I'm so happy you're here, Carrie. So when, I was listening to an anecdote, one of my students was sharing an anecdote with me and preparing to teach herself. And she was talking about how her 2-year-old was throwing things and hitting the wall. Hi, Florence. This is for a 2-year-old. Good morning to you, Carrie. So he was hitting the wall. He was running around. He was throwing things. He went to his room. He couldn't make eye contact. And most people look at that and like, oh my God, I got to get this child under control. But in reality, what's really happening is that this is just a way to frame children's behavior. What's really happening is the child is off track. Just using that terminology can be incredible. The child is off track, and we know that because he's showing signs of off track behavior. The child can't make eye contact. It means that his brain doesn't feel safe enough. So off track behavior is really meaning that the child's triggered and doesn't feel safe in the world. This is true for adults as well. We just show it differently. So, a young child can't control their arms and legs, and they're wily and wild. And so they do, they might throw things or hurt someone or run away. And these are all signs that, again, that the child doesn't feel safe. And the way to frame it is called off-track behavior. And I love this because it's not judgmental, because typically what we say as adults or parents will say, oh, what's wrong with that kid? Hi, Allison. We'll say, what's wrong with that kid? Or, oh my God, he's such a troubled child, or what a problem. And in truth, it really has so much more to do with the child's neurophysiology. And if we want to change that neurophysiology, it's how we approach that child. We don't approach them with harshness, because we're just increasing what they're already doing. We actually approach them with warmth and openness. And that's another video. Really what I want to focus on today is understanding behaviors that our children show us. So that's a young child. And that can happen for many, many years. And then children get older, obviously, and they become preteens and teens. And it shows up differently. It shows up as disrespect. It shows up as name calling. It shows up as harshness. It shows up as isolation. And I want us to be aware of, so what the point I'm really getting at here is that if we want to be really, really good at parenting, right? We enter parenting wanting to be good at it. One of the key skills that is not taught barely anywhere is being able to read these nonverbal signals. Children, many adults too, but children cannot tell us, oh, I'm so upset that my friend moved away, or oh my gosh, I'm so mad I can't find the hamster. They can't express their feelings, and they're not supposed to. They don't have the developmental ability to do that yet. That really doesn't happen until later in life, and we're trying to force that at young ages. So I shouldn't say later in life, but later in development, right? And so the key is to be able to read these nonverbal signals that they're showing us. So, let's talk about teens now. A teen who name calls, off-track behavior. A teen who goes to their room and isolates, off-track behavior. I mean, there is some of that happens that's normal, but when it happens too much. A teen who is on their phone constantly, off-track behavior. A teen who name calls or is disrespectful or has attitude, right? We call that attitude. Off-track behavior. We can actually lump it all into off-track behavior which is actually really helpful because it helps us to see that it's not a child who wants to be disrespectful. It's not a child who's trying to be mean or disrespectful or disobedient. So, hi, Jenny. So they're not trying to do that. Their own internalized anger towards themselves, which is really hard to hear, right? Like that's a big, big deal. And so, so again, it's just helpful to kind of lump everything into off-track behavior because so that we're really thinking about not the actual behavior that's happening, but what's happening behind that behavior, what's happening in their body language, what does that really mean? Not the disrespectful words that they're saying, but the anger and the frustration in their voice, to understand it's really something internalized. We are good human beings. Hi, Alfonso. We are good. We are born into this world good. And when we see a child who is off track, it doesn't mean that they're bad. It actually means that they've had experiences in their life that have created harshness within their neurobiology that's basically just showing up externally. And there's so much you can do. That's like, a 6-month course that I would have to teach on something like that. In terms of what you can do, listening is an amazing skill that I've learned on how to respond to that kind of harshness that our children show us. But hi Maggie, one of the challenges is that we don't interpret as adults. We have a hard time interpreting those behaviors as a child who's hurting, right? Like I just want to say that slowly. As adults, we have a hard time interpreting the off-track behaviors that we see from our children as a child who's hurting. And a lot of that has to do with our own struggles and challenges and not being able to see that. And there's a lot of internal work that needs to be done to be able to see what's actually happening. And so this has been one of the most profound things I have ever learned in my life in terms of my education, in terms of understanding children's behavior. And this can also translate to adults. Like, we are good human beings. And when we do something off track, it's really because of something that's happened in our history. But today I want to focus on kids. And I would love, please write in the comments, what off-track behaviors you might see in your children that you might need some help interpreting. And I'm happy. I love to do that. I love to, get to the bottom of why is that. I had a father who consults with me very, very regularly. He just has a hard time understanding his teenage daughter. And she's about 15, 16 years old now. And it was, the scenario was, the parents had divorced and they both had purchased a new house, and the dad had renovated the house, and he was really adamant about, this is your house, this is your house, this is your house, because he wanted her to be there a lot. And then what happened was, years later, the dad started dating somebody who got serious, and she started to spend quite a bit of time at the house. There was a little bit of challenge with the daughter. The daughter and this new girlfriend get along wonderfully, which is great. There's a little bit of challenge with her around the bathroom, because he always called it her bathroom, even though it was sort of like the public bathroom that was used for the main part of the house. So, right, like the daughter's wondering what her place is. And then what happened was, and they talked about their relationship with the daughter a lot and really explained to her what was going on. And then the girlfriend, they decided, the dad and the girlfriend decided the girlfriend should move in, and they didn't tell the daughter. And the daughter no longer stayed there, and she started being really harsh to the dad. He did not understand what was going on. And it was really clear that to me that, wow, the daughter didn't have a say in the girlfriend moving in. And not that she should have a say, but when it was called her house, her house, her house, and all of a sudden it's no longer her space anymore, that there wasn't a discussion even about that. And so the dad wasn't understanding that this disrespectful, like he was at the point he couldn't even stand being with his daughter anymore, like around her anymore, because she was so disrespectful. And I helped to explain to him that her anger, disrespect towards him was actually her being like defensive around feeling the abandonment that she felt about her father. And because that's what it really kind of boils down to, is like feeling not worthy and feeling abandoned. And because really in the end, when we see off-track behavior but from our children, it really boils down to broken connection, not feeling safe, and not feeling loved. Like it really boils down to those two things. All off-track behaviors, they might have a different route to get to them, but that's really what they're all about. And so I'm going to share this probably 1 million times on my page, because this is something I'm passionate about parents understanding that their kids aren't trying to be awful to them, right? And we tend to think that because of our own hurts, and we can't necessarily see what's actually happening. So I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if it was. And I love sharing this kind of information, this kind of heartfelt, warm, like way that we can be with our children. And I love your comments too. So let me know what was helpful from today and what your thoughts might be, or what off-track behaviors you're familiar with. So thank you everyone for coming, and I hope this was helpful to you, and thank you so much. All right, bye. Hi. Okay, Rinda Marie, I really love all of what you had to say. Thank you. I appreciate that, Rinda. All right, take care. Bye-bye.